Hi guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube. Please pay close attention to the items I have out front here. I know you can barely see them due to the way the camera angle is. I will hold them up to the camera when we get to that, but I'm going to be doing a practical analysis of liquidity in the greater antiques and collectibles trade, okay? Before we can get to the topic of antiques and collectibles as a valid alternative asset class, we have to talk about liquidity. Liquidity is very important, whether you're talking about traditional financial investments, whether that be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, or you're referring to real estate, which is a different asset class altogether, or you're talking about commodities, things like oil, options trading, gold, silver, and this is where I would place antiques and collectibles as well. Okay, they're pretty much considered commodities, okay? That said, you have to understand liquidity before we can talk about antiques and collectibles as a valid asset class. The number one problem I see with a lot of people coming into the greater antiques and collectibles trade with all these false visions in their head and dollar signs glaring in their eyes is they don't understand liquidity. Okay? You have to understand to be successful in life and even in finance, just even outside the antiques and collectibles trade. You have to understand liquidity, how it relates to you, and the investments that you purchase. One great thing about Wall Street, okay? If you invest in a stock, let's say that you bought a stock a year ago, two years ago, or even yesterday, and it shoots up in value and you go to sell that stock. Assuming there's a buyer for that stock on the other end, within reason, that trade, once you initiate a sell order for that security, and again, assuming there's a buyer on the other end, not going to get too far on that in this video, most times there is, that trade will be settled within 3 business days. That means within 3 business days from selling your security, that money from that security exchange will be in your brokerage account and you can transfer it, you can do whatever you want with it, okay? Certain brokerages will even extend you a credit, and again, I'm not going to get too far into this, where if you have a lot of money in the account and you sell a trade of a stock or a bond or other security, they'll actually credit you the money that you're selling it for and you can get the money almost immediately, okay? So I just want to put that out there. In Wall Street and finance, liquidity is very important, but Wall Street is known for liquidity. The problem with the 2008 and 2009 crisis, as it was, and the reason, and I know this is going to ruffle feathers, but the reason why the government had to bail out a lot of the too big to fail banks, brokerage houses, and other businesses that were in trouble was because if they didn't, liquidity would dry up, it would kill confidence in the economy, and we would have been in another depression instead of just a Great Recession. And no matter how many people I talk to on either a political level or an economic level, there's a lot that cannot understand that, okay? The government in 2008 and 2009, I don't care about your political beliefs, had to bail out those companies. Otherwise, a lot of the people watching this video would have been wiped out and would still not be watching this video because they would be working 2 to 3 jobs, anything that they can get, and still scraping by because we would still be in a massive recession at this point as well, okay? Just want to put that out there before we continue. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is understanding liquidity in the greater antiques and collectibles trade. One of the issues with the trade we have right now, where we are in 2019, and this topic will be addressed more when I get to talking about antiques and collectibles as a valid asset class. There's a lot of speculators and what I want to call starry-eyed investors coming into the market, and they think that they're going to be able to accurately tie up $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in items that pay no monthly or quarterly or yearly interest and dividend, and they're still going to be able to prosper, okay? You have to be very careful what you put your money into. That goes double in the antiques and collectibles trade where passion runs rampant. Okay? I'm going to say this many times going forward. You guys are going to hear me repeat what I'm about to say. Understand one thing. When you invest in the antiques and collectibles trade, okay, unlike investing in a stock, bond, mutual fund, or ETF, an antique or collectible pays you no income stream, okay? If I go out and I put $100,000 into an S&P 500 index fund offered by Vanguard, okay, I think the dividend on that's somewhere between 2% right now, okay? Every 3 months, I'm going to get a dividend, because I own an S&P 500 index fund from Vanguard. Every 3 months, I'm going to get a dividend deposited either in my brokerage account that I can either reinvest back into the fund, or I can spend on antiques and collectibles, or whatever I want to do with it, okay? That's one advantage that financial assets have. They pay you income to own them, okay? Very important to understand that. Now, it's true that typically, if you buy a piece of real estate will also give you monthly income in the form that you rent it out, okay? But there's very few other assets that work in that same manner. That's why it's important to state as we go into these topics. In my opinion, antiques and collectibles should complement or accent a well-diversified portfolio. It should not be the core of an individual's portfolio, okay? So, I'm going to talk more about that when we get to antiques and collectibles as a valid asset class. What I want to focus on now is liquidity, and I want you guys to get your mind going in this particular video. So I'm going to hold up certain objects, okay? One of them I do need to use gloves to hold it up because it's a piece of authentic Tiffany art glass. I'll show you guys in a minute. If you guys never seen a piece of Tiffany art glass, this will be a good video for you. Let's leave it at that. If you get nothing else out of the video, at least you got to see something of that nature, okay? That's usually only on display at auction houses and or museums, okay? And I will tell you the value of it when we get there, okay? So, let's begin. I'm going to start off with this Nintendo Lucario Amiibo. It is not graded. This was bought off the shelf of Toys R Us, because I'm the one that bought it. And this is actually, I think this is the first print, because it has the Wii U and 3DS on the back, if it matters, okay? Now, this, ironically, is not a good investment. This is not a good place to put your money long term, okay? Just going to say, in my opinion, okay? And you're talking to a guy that also has a 95+ graded gold Mario Amiibo, okay? However, short-term flip on these was phenomenal, okay? I made a lot of money on Amiibos. I know a lot of other people that did too, okay? That said, I kind of consider these kind of a fad item. I don't care what anybody says, and I can do another video on that if you need to. I think 20 to 30 years from now, very few people are going to care about Amiibos because they will have been released so many different times by that time. No one's going to care about these items anymore. It's a money grab, flash in the pan income stream for Nintendo. That's all this is. If you like them, if you guys saw the one video I did in my video game room, I have a whole wall of them, okay? I do like Amiibo. That said, for the long term, I would not be investing in these. Just my opinion. That said, this was $12.99 at retail, guys. Okay? If I put this on eBay now, and I'm lucky to get $20, $25 for this, because I know they did release it several times since then, okay? The question becomes, is it really liquid, okay? I do not consider this item at present time to be extremely liquid. You can easily sell it on eBay if the price is right. The problem is, when it comes to shipping, eBay fees, PayPal fees, and all the other costs associated with that, you're probably going to take a loss if you want your money in 24 to 72 hours by selling something like an Amiibo, okay? You have to understand that going in. That's why people who invest in antiques and collectibles also have to have other assets that are either paying them interest or dividend payments on a monthly or quarterly basis, or they have to have a lot of cash left elsewhere, okay? You cannot put everything you have in items such as this nature, especially speculative items, okay? Because the market can change on a dime on these items, okay? There's no long-term track record on Amiibos and other items of this nature. Don't fall for the hype, guys, okay? Enough said on that. So in my opinion, this is not a great liquid investment in the antiques and collectibles trade. We're going to continue, and I'm going to skip some stuff in here. This is an AFA graded. It's an 85. The label is all the way down here, so I'm sorry if you guys can't see it. I'll do my best. It's an AFA 85 Battlestar Galactica, and this is a tongue twister, so bear with me. Colonial Stellar Probe. This is from the 1978 Mattel line, okay? This item is worth, okay, I'm going to tell you, anywhere from $400 to $600 estimated on the secondary market, okay? If you wanted to buy this toy, okay? It's a factory sealed example, graded Near Mint Plus, okay, from AFA, Action Figure Authority. Same company that owns VGA, for you guys that didn't watch my other videos, okay? That said, this is a fairly liquid item. Now, the fact that it's Battlestar Galactica honestly hurts the liquidity a little bit, because it would be better if I would have pulled an example from my Star Wars collection and showed you that, because most of those items AFA graded are extremely liquid right now due to the hype that's been generated by the new movies and the fact that the Star Wars franchise is in the public mindset again, okay? That said, Battlestar Galactica, because it's from 1978, a lot of vintage toy collectors would go after this. It just depends at what price, okay? Question becomes, are they going to try to get this for a cheap price? In other words, are they going to go and bid at it at $200 hoping they get it? Or are they actually going to pay the market value of $400 to $600, okay? So, I would rate this as fairly liquid, okay? You could sell this very easily for close to what it's worth on the secondary market on a site like eBay, okay? So let's continue. I'm going to reach into the vault, and this has to go back to my safety deposit box, and really I got to plan better how I film these videos, because this is the second time I took this same banknote out of the safety deposit box to show you guys. This is a $7,000 banknote, okay? That's roughly what it's worth. If you want to check Heritage completed auctions with buyer's premium and tax, you're going to pay around $7,000 for an item like this, okay? This is a 1901 legal tender bison note in PMG, same company that owns NGC that grades coins. They also grade currency, and 64 EPQ, which stands for exceptional paper quality, okay? This is a fairly high graded item in coins and currency. This item is extremely liquid. I could easily call up Heritage Auctions tomorrow, okay? Tell them I need cash, and all I got to do is ship this to them. They will automatically catalog it for me for an upcoming auction, and I tell them I want a cash advance on what you estimate some of the proceeds to be for this item, and they'll send me a check immediately, or they'll wire me the money, okay? This is one reason why I tell people that coins and currency are a very, very sophisticated market. There are benefits to investing in coins and currency. One of them that's often less talked about is liquidity, okay? People who hold coins and currency never have a problem with liquidity in that regard. There's even companies out there where I could send them this banknote. If I deem them trustworthy, I would obviously check credentials, and I could say, hey, I'm in a cash crunch. I need some money. You know what they could do? They'll cut me a check at a very low interest rate because something like this holds value, and I could get money as a result of that. And I don't have to give up the item either, because what could happen is I could tell them, well, I'll pay you back in 90 days this much plus interest, okay? That's also known in the greater antiques and collectibles trade at the level of sophisticated investment, okay? People who are doing that usually have items like coins, currency, historical documents, artwork, items of that nature that's very liquid. One of the benefits of third-party graded items when it applies to a sophisticated market, talking coins, currency, certain sports memorabilia that can be third-party graded, a lot of that stuff is highly liquid. That's the benefit twofold of investing in it. you get not only liquidity if you need to, but you also get growth on the item as more people gain exposure and want the item in demand, okay? It's not to say everything that is like this is extremely, what do I want to say, a good investment will always go up in value. That's not true. But liquidity as it applies to items like this is awesome in that regard, okay? More on that later. Now, for the next item, I'm going to put on my gloves here. And I know, these are my wonderful white cotton gloves. So let me quick slide them on. We're going to look at, this is a piece of Tiffany art glass. Okay, I'm going to hold it up. Right there's the original label. You can still see on the bottom. This is in near mint condition with label. Okay, very hard to find some of these pieces with the label still intact, okay? That said, the value of this item is anywhere from $800 all the way up to $1,400. It just depends on the market that you choose to sell it into, and also who happens to be bidding on the auction that day. Honestly, if I wanted to take a loss on this item, I could put this on eBay. Somebody who's suspicious of Tiffany Glass appearing on eBay would probably pay $600 to $700 for it. They would get it sent, and if this was a fake, it's not, obviously, but if it was a fake, they would then open up a PayPal dispute and get their money right back, okay? There are people that take risks like that. That said, one of the misconceptions, a lot of people will tell you this is a very liquid item. It is a very liquid item, but unlike the piece of coin or currency over here, you have to understand the different market dynamics from this item versus this item. There's a lot of well-to-do auction houses that deal in Tiffany Glass. Heritage Auctions also does business in the fine arts category, which covers Tiffany Glass. That said, you have to understand there's no third-party grading for glass, obviously. It would be weird to encase something like this in plastic with a grade. So, the market works a little bit different in that you yourself, as the collector, as the enthusiast, as the connoisseur, has to do your own market research to find the auction house where you think you're going to get the correct and proper market price that benefits you as the seller the most. There's a lot that goes into items of this nature. That's why I wanted to use this just as an introductory example, okay? If you're going to collect Tiffany Glass, any of your potteries like Rookwood, any of your even vintage marbles, okay? Yes, I said marbles, as in toy marbles. Some of the early stuff from Acro, Agate, and all those companies can be worth a lot of money. I have a lot of them in my house on display. That said, you have to be careful because you have to understand how those markets work. I will do more of that in an upcoming video. Since everybody seems to know me as the pop culture collectibles guy, I kind of have to wait a little bit before I get into those topics because I don't want to bore my core users, given the fact that this is a new channel. Okay? So, we're going to go to another item. We're going to talk about this. This is an AFA graded 2013 Back to the Future Lego set of the DeLorean. Okay? That said, had this have not been graded, okay, this would be a highly liquid item. Okay? This Lego set was $29.99 when it came out, okay, back in 2013. These things go for, ungraded, they go for $130 on average, okay, on eBay. You could easily put one of these up ungraded, as long as it's sealed, okay, for $120 and sell it like that. It is a very liquid item. That said, here's the catch. Not all graded collectibles work like coins and currency, and to a lesser extent, comic books, okay? You have to understand this. Because I graded this, the value that I perceive this to be worth is around $400 to $500, okay? If I put this on eBay, and by the way, this will be listed on eBay because I'm going to eventually part with it, okay? It's going to take a special buyer that wants a graded AFA Lego set, okay? The chances of that selling within 72 hours or even a week or even 2 weeks is slim to none. I have to wait for the right buyer. By choosing to grade an item like this or an item like this, guess what? I tried to increase the value of the item overall, but I decreased the liquidity of the item because I can't sell it as quick on the market for the price that I'm comfortable getting for the item. Does that make sense? In other words, what I'm saying is, if I sell this on eBay, if I list this for $600, okay, somebody's going to go, you know, it's a $12.99 Amiibo, okay? Just because it's a 95 plus graded by VGA, I'm not going to give you $400 or $500 or $600, Sean, okay? That said, I'll offer you $200 or $300 maybe tops, okay? Well, if I'm not comfortable with that price, yes, you are correct to say, well, Sean, it's still liquid. You could still sell it for $200 to $300. You are correct. But if I'm not comfortable with that price, it's really not doing me any good in that manner. Also, keep in mind, I'm the one that bought this off the store shelf and graded it, okay? It happened to come back a 95 plus. If somebody buys this from me for $200, $300, or $400, and then they want to turn around and sell it, well, they're in a different circumstance. Because all I did, I paid $12.99 for the Amiibo, and I paid for grading fees. If they pay $300 to $400 for this, and they want to sell it, they have to get at least $400 or whatever they paid to break even, okay? You have to understand that in certain collectible markets, grading, which isn't established yet in the video game and collectible genre like this, can sometimes lead to you having to hold the item until the right buyer comes along. I'm going to use a final example to show what I mean. Over here, we have a graded, VGA graded, PlayStation 2 Slim system. This came from a factory seal case that I had in storage for about 5 years. Okay, pulled one out and I started grading these. This came back a VGA 90, which for those of you that saw my grading video on VGA versus WADA grading, that means it's near mint plus to mint condition. Okay, the only two grades higher on this would be a 95 or 100. Okay, I'm going to forget the plus grades for now. Okay, that said, something like this is not liquid. Okay, the person looking for a factory sealed PlayStation 2, you have to find the right buyer that wants a graded one as well as wanting a factory sealed one. That is very hard to do in the market at present time. If you're gonna grade something like this, you're taking a long view. The market for graded video game systems of a modern era, okay, meaning like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Wii, Wii U, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 3DS, that market is not established yet, okay? It is nowhere near on par with something like this, okay? You cannot even compare the two. There's a lot of people in the comment sections of my videos stating that, well, they're going to invest in graded WADA games because they feel it's going to be something like coins going forward. It can't be. It's nowhere near established at this point, okay? Be very careful operating in that market under that mindset, okay? Even comic books, okay? I understand a lot of you guys love comic books, and I told you in my video about the collections that I've acquired, some of the books that I sold out of my personal comic book collection. But that said, comic books are nowhere near where coins and currency are, okay? Yes, there are certain books, a handful of books, that sell for 6 to 7 figures, okay? That does not mean your giant size X-Men 1 in CGC 9.4 is going to become worth $10,000 anytime soon, okay? Be very careful how you analyze that market, okay? I just want to put that out there, okay? So I wanted to do this video just to demonstrate different levels of liquidity by showing you practical examples and how you analyze them, okay? Hopefully, this had an impact on something. You got something out of this video. If not, please let me know in the comments. And I know I look really stupid with the white gloves on. I apologize, guys. It just was easier to keep them on after I touched the Tiffany vase because I have to go put it away when I'm done this video. Then just take them off, okay? So anyway, thank you for watching. And this is going to be a segue into antiques and collectibles as a valid alternative asset class. Those videos should hit soon. I hope you like the channel. I hope what you're learning from this channel is helping you become either a better collector, speculator, or on your way to becoming a sophisticated investor. Okay? Thank you for watching. As always, good night.